Fox News Alert. President Trump firing back at Democrats over the latest accusations against Judge Kavanaugh, saying they are playing a, quote, con game. The Supreme Court nominee vowed to fight the allegations against him ahead of a hearing this Thursday. Here's the president just a few minutes ago.
It's horrible what the Democrats have done. It's a con game they're playing. They're really con artists. They're trying to convince. You know, they don't believe it themselves. Okay, they know he's a high-quality person. They don't believe it. It's just resist and obstruct.
Those remarks were from the United Nations General Assembly right here in New York. He was seated next to the president of Colombia as reporters were asking him questions. And they come also after White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders said the president is open to having Kavanaugh's now second accuser testify. Here's Democrat Kirsten Gillibrand.
I've heard from both sides, and I believe Dr. Blasey Ford and I believe Ms. Ramirez. Both of their stories are credible, unlike his, where he wouldn't actually answer the question or say why he wouldn't be interviewed by the FBI. That's not the response of someone who wants to plead his innocence. You have women who are telling these stories about what happened to them and credibly accusing Judge Kavanaugh of violent behavior, of sexual assault, of behavior that is disqualifying.
Let's bring in now counselor to the president, Kellyanne Conway. Kellyanne, thanks for joining us. This is a huge news-making day ahead of what's happening set to unroll on Thursday. I want to start with, if we can, the president's defense of Judge Kavanaugh today, even though he said he was open to hearing a second accuser.
Well, that may be a little premature only because the Senate Judiciary Committee decides who will testify on Thursday. And I think we need to defer to them. As I understand it, the committee is taking the testimony of Dr. Ford and of Judge Kavanaugh. But within an hour of that article going online the other night, a really thinly sourced, widely criticized by peers in the media article in The New Yorker about the second accuser, the committee members, some of the staffers did reach out to Ms. Ramirez and asked if she would like to add anything. So they will take statements, they will take anything that she would like to offer, and that's how the process works. This is a process being convened by the Senate Judiciary Committee, Harris, because let's not forget, this is not a legal proceeding, it's not a criminal proceeding, it's not a civil proceeding. It is still the Senate confirmation hearing of nominee to the United States Supreme Court, Judge Brett Kavanaugh. So this will be part of that. Thursday is about the two of them. Judge Kavanaugh has made very clear, including to your colleague Martha McCallum last night in a wide-ranging interview with his wife Ashley by his side, that he's been willing to testify since he found out the name of the accuser. Actually, he was willing to testify when she was still anonymous, because he is confident in saying, as he has many times, and only he can say this, that he was at no such party, that he has never treated anyone like this, including this accuser.
All right, real quickly, just a quick follow. The president calling this a con game by Democrats, and I do mean quickly. I just want to get your final thought on this because I want to get to Rod Rosenstein.
Well, the president has a point. Again, if you're talking about the process, why did the Democrats sit on this letter all this time and wait till the 12th hour to reveal it after 30 hours of sworn testimony, where they failed to lay a glove on Brett Kavanaugh because he has academic credentials and impeccable integrity and character and qualifications beyond reproach? Many of them were raising money for their 2020 presidential elections instead of asking the judge questions about legal precedent, because they've already made up their mind that they're not going to support him. But I think what the president's point is that, as I said yesterday, this is becoming a vast left-wing conspiracy. You've got a lot of Democrats, consultants, and Hollywood folks and others on the left wing in cahoots, coddling each other, definitely coaching each other on this. There's no question. If you look at
Kellyanne, the definition basically of what the president is calling a con game. I want to get to Rod Rosenstein because that's the other thing we potentially could see on Thursday with the president meeting with his deputy attorney general. Press Secretary Sarah Sanders says that if Rod Rosenstein exits, however he exits, that could begin the end of the Robert Mueller investigation. What is the White House saying about that now?
You see, the president made the point yesterday that on Thursday he will meet with his deputy attorney general. Yesterday, the deputy attorney general, Mr. Rosenstein, met with the chief of staff, General Kelly, at the White House. They also participated in a cabinet-level meeting on other issues. I think the media, maybe not you, but some in the media are always surprised to learn that people come to the White House for meetings. And the number 2 at Justice does that routinely. So the president and Mr. Rosenstein will have to make those decisions, I guess, on Thursday and speak on Thursday.
Is the president going to fire Rod Rosenstein?
That's up to the president. I've not heard that. And I also think yesterday was a terrible day for the media getting their information from Twitter, from faulty, leaky sources, people who could not have known possibly what was going on one way or the other. He's on the job today. He was on the job yesterday. And the president wants to meet him in person on Thursday. Let me say this. The Department of Justice, as run by the last administration with some of those holdovers, was rotten to the core at the tippy top of the FBI, especially when it came from trying to put their thumb on the scales to get Hillary Clinton elected. Comey, McCabe, Orr, Strzok, Page. This is important because I see a pattern here, perhaps. You had Jim Comey, fired from the FBI, had taken notes, got a book deal, leaked some of those notes to the media. You have Andy McCabe now, got fired, and the number 2 at the FBI got fired, had some notes, got a book deal, started leaking notes to the media.
I see what you're pointing to, and I want to bring you back, and I hope you can forgive the interruption, but we've got some breaking news, and I wanted to get you on the program. I think it's so important ahead of Thursday to see what might happen. But we've got to